Lovely. Right. Okay. So the subject matter for today's webinar is all about marketing. So men and women of a certain age might recognize this band. So it's Madness, a band from my youth. And I'll introduce Julie in a second, and she can explain a bit more about why we've got this one step beyond slide here. Just to take you through who we are. So firstly, my name is Chris Thomas. I'm an accountant, and I'm a founding director and partner at One Accounting. We are an accounting practice based in Edinburgh. We've been in business for 13 years, and we work with SMEs all across Edinburgh and the Lothians, with a particular emphasis on hospitality, digital and technology services, and also professional services as well. And it's my great pleasure to introduce Julie Diver from 39 Steps. Julie, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Hello.
Perfect, Julie. Right. Okay. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. I'm Julie from 39 Steps. We're a creative marketing studio based in Morningside. And yeah, we've been going for about 17 years and been working with clients all across the UK, primarily in the SME area. And it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. We've been working with Chris actually now for 15 years, Chris, I think. Been some time.
Perfect. Okay. Let's just run through what we're going to be looking at today. So firstly, introductions. I'm just going to be talking about why I think now is a good time to look forward as we move out of the COVID-19 crisis. And then the main presentation is going to be from Julie, and she's going to be talking about marketing during lockdown and beyond. So first of all, let me just talk about why I think now is a good time to look forward. This is a slide from a chap called Tom Goodwin. He authored a book called Digital Darwinism, and I saw a presentation from him last week, and I thought this really summarized what we're currently experiencing. So firstly, we obviously had a global pandemic, a health crisis, and in the UK, basically the economy shut down at fairly short notice. So on the back of that, we obviously felt an economic shockwave, and the government responded with a variety of measures, including the job furlough scheme, and there's a range of grants and loans available to businesses really to just keep them afloat and to enable them really to put money into people's pockets, which they've done very, very successfully with the furlough scheme. Thankfully, today's webinar is about none of that. It's all about actually looking forward to the future. So what we are going to be talking about today is really behavioural shifts that we expect to see amongst businesses in Scotland and the UK moving forwards, and how we think you can make some small changes, some subtle changes in your business really to help you move forward and grow for the rest of the year. Okay, so key thing here is that making predictions is difficult. This slide here is really just showing the impact on various stock markets across the world in 2020. So you can see in the year that the market actually increased in terms of share prices, but come February and March, when it became apparent that we were heading for a global crisis, the stock market crashed. So you can see there, roughly a third of the value of the stock markets in the US, the UK and Japan was wiped off. But surprisingly, in the couple of months since lockdown, it has rebounded back. So for example, the FTSE fell 35%, it's come back about 10%. And you can see there that the Dow Jones in the US and the Nikkei in Japan have actually come back a bit more. So it would have been difficult to predict when that bounce would have started, and indeed the fact that, how long it's actually rebounded back, the increase. So predictions is difficult, but I'll actually try and do that. So again, this is just my take on a few things I've seen and experienced over the past few weeks. So I think just with maybe shortages of equipment and PPE, there's a strong chance I think manufacturing is going to return to the UK, because as we found, actually controlling your own supply chain and being able to produce these things is far more important than the actual price that you pay for them. Certainly, in my family and my client base and really looking around, I think people are taking more responsibility for their own personal health, a lot more activity, daily exercise, running and cycling, everything else. I think people are going to become more aware of their own fitness, their own health, their own diet as well. more emphasis on safety and hygiene. And what I think will happen when the lockdown lifts is that certainly consumers are going to be wanting to spend money and spend it locally as well. I think there's the feeling, it doesn't matter if you run a business or not, I think everyone's aware that small businesses have been suffering. So I think there's going to be more of an emphasis on shopping locally and helping your local business rather than some massive worldwide corporations that I'm sure we could all name. And I think there is going to continue to be government support to encourage spending. Okay, this crisis is costing the government a lot of money, but I think the emphasis here is really to get the economy restarted. So I'm not predicting any changes in taxes or austerity measures in the short term. So I think there'll be more government support. I think amongst all of us, this little, there's actually a fridge magnet at home. Winston Churchill, let us go forward together. So we've all had this as a shared experience. Obviously it's been different for everyone, but we've all had to live through this COVID-19 crisis. So I think the fact that, what we're seeing at the moment is highly unusual. There's going to be more collaboration and understanding between businesses as well. This is an accountant's take on marketing. So some of you may have seen this, some of you may have not. My view is it's better to do something than nothing. So to try and just promote this webinar, I put out a short video on LinkedIn last week. And to try and get a bit of attention, I put on a really garish shirt with some fruit on it. And it's funny, the actual comments on LinkedIn were more about the shirt than the content of the webinar. So that was my attempt. But I don't mind, I'm happy to have a go at these things. But yeah, I think my view on marketing at the moment is it's better to do something than nothing. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is hand over to Julie. Just got to press a couple of buttons here. Julie, just bear with me. Let's try this button here.
I love a bit.
Okay, Julie, over to you, I think.
Okay, great, cool. Okay. There we go. Right, morning everyone. Thank you for joining us today, and thanks to Chris for having me along. It was really interesting to see the questions that came through when you guys were signing up. And hopefully I will be answering some of these through the presentation, but if there's questions that come out and they've not been answered yet, then do fire them later on. The point of today is to kind of give you a little bit of insights as to how I see the marketplace at the moment, and also some hints and tips as to what potentially you guys could do as quick wins throughout this as well. Chris, I can see that a couple of people have raised their hands. Does that mean that you can see that, or is that only me?
If you fire away, Julie, I'll if I need to jump in, I will.
Cool. Okay. Right. So I would like at the end of this for you guys to have at least 2 things that you can take away and implement fairly immediately. And that's the point of this. So first of all, yeah, the world is not what we knew it back in 2020 February. So any marketing strategy people had then has been pretty much ripped up. But the fundamental thing that we must not do is not stop. Don't stop your marketing, because that would be a killer. Any marketing that you have been doing, it has to shift, absolutely. But if you've not started, do something. Do some kind of action. Wear a jazzy shirt. Get yourself noticed. This is as jazzy as my shirts come. But don't stop. So this is the sort of lay of the land at the moment, people. Right here, right now, what we have is that we've got everybody sitting at home. They'll have a lot of time on their hands for many people, and for others, not so much, juggling all manner of different things. But fundamentally, people are getting kind of a bit bored. The novelty is definitely wearing off for many of us. And the appetite for content in general is going up. By content, I mean people wanting to consume information, whether that's news, what's happening with COVID right now, or a project they want to do, new hobbies and things, or whatever it is, they're consuming content from all manner of different places. We're seeing an increase in TV watching, up by at least 1/3. We're seeing record levels of people listening to the radio and streaming stuff online as well. And naturally, lots of people are doing a lot of online buying. There's a lot of sales going on at the moment as people try to discount. mean, here's the general trends at the moment. Search online on Google is up hugely. There's around about 20 billion searches every day. It was already very high anyway, but that's a lot of searches going on now. Online usage in general is up. Social media usage is up. The number of people who maybe didn't have social accounts before, perhaps older people, opening up Facebook accounts and Instagram and all kinds of stuff. Online usage is definitely up in social. There's a lot around supporting for community. And as Chris alluded to there, definitely a trend to kind of help local communities. So, for example, in our business, we've set up a site called Support Southside, and that is an online free directory for businesses in the south side of Edinburgh to upload their information, and it can get shared and things. But we're in a position that we can do that, which is wonderful. But there's lots and lots of that kind of thing going on. People helping with food banks, and whether that's individually or as a company-wide initiative, all kinds of things like that. I'm sure you're involved in that yourself. What's going down is ad volume. So there's less competition out there, and which means that there's less noise. And the good thing is things like Google Ads, PPC, and that kind of thing. The price of advertising is definitely going down. For people who've perhaps advertised in the more traditional media like newspapers, mags, and that kind of thing, the cost of that is going right down too, because so many people are not doing it. What we're seeing a good trend in again is there's 21% increase in email open rates month on month. That stat's actually even gone up higher now. Email newsletters is a precursor to social media. So people go on the social media bandwagon and maybe forgot about e-newsletters for a while, and then GDPR came along and everyone got a bit scared. But actually, there's nothing better than having a well-crafted email campaign that goes out to a qualitative list. If you have somebody's email address, that's worth its weight in gold. For people to actually part with that kind of information, you treat it with respect. But so if people are then opening up your stuff, that means you really have them in your kind of grasp. So that's something to use. So for people who have perhaps not embraced e-newsletters of late, maybe past few years, and we've been speaking to lots of people who've maybe not sent out anything for several years, now is the time to kind of relook at that again. Then of course you've got things like SEO, search engine optimization, and Google Ads. And as I said, the price of these have come down for Google Ads. However, we have seen across a number of marketeers who are seeing a massive increase in spend on SEO, search engine optimization. Because people still want good bang for their buck, however, although the rates might be a bit cheaper. Many companies who, in the first wave of COVID, who kind of were scared and decided to pull everything and become ostriches, I guess, and go, right, no, we have to save money. That's very understandable. They have decided not to then keep putting money into SEO, which then helps the companies who are a bit more forward thinking to kind of go up the rankings a little quicker than they might have done before. So there's that magic word, Pivotsville. We've been working on this sort of whole thing around pivoting, swiveling a business, changing access or whatever. And that kind of goes through 3 different waves we've seen. So wave 1 was all about COVID. It's all about how people could help. I don't know about you, but I got a number of e-newsletters from random CEOs of businesses that I had no idea had any involvement with them at all, saying that they were here for me. So that, thanks very much, but I have no idea who you are. And then you have others, we're seeing clients who were super on it and just speaking to all their clients very quickly and explaining what they were able to do. Like trades, for example, say, we're all kind of going to be sanitized and all that kind of stuff. And it was all about keeping people safe and being certain about that. And then you have the people like Brewdog who created hand sanitizer, and many, many other drinks brands were doing the same. But Brewdog got a lot of traction out of doing something that was really seen as a fantastic swivel right away. And I've popped in here the term CNEs, which stands for those who are, might be part of the action community, creative, not critical non-essentials, CNEs. And this is something that you can do with clients to kind of just say that you're there, you're still here for them. And it could be lovely things like sending them a book or an email, saw this and thought of you. Little touch points that don't need to cost you very much can be part of your marketing strategy, and particularly within wave 1 and wave 2 that I'll go and talk about in a moment, can be seen as something really quite giving and a good sense of goodwill. Wave 2 is all about your digital first aspect. And it doesn't matter if you're in B2B or B2C businesses, or whether you're selling food or financial services, whatever. You need to now have a digital first mindset to thrive. The companies that don't embrace having a digital first mindset are the ones that will not get through this. And I can't stress that enough. Having the idea of being able to promote things online, no matter what it is totally the way forward. So your digital first has to be the kind of crux of any marketing strategy. Various things around that exist there, but where I would see something that would be super useful to many people is to go on to HubSpot, which is a growth platform, and it has a fantastic academy on there called the HubSpot Academy originally. The beauty about that is it sort of teaches people how to have a digital first kind of mindset and create inbound marketing that will really, really help drive that business. And it doesn't cost anything. It's totally free. So to answer some of the questions that came through about what can we do that's free, that would definitely be one thing that I would absolutely recommend either you, or perhaps if you've got people within your teams that are furloughed and looking for a little bit of extra training and help that way, then I would absolutely highly recommend having a look at that.
Julie, just to jump in there.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so yeah, I think it's really important in terms of the sort of free. So I mean, we're using Zoom today. Zoom,
yep.
Fantastic free app as well. So we've used MailChimp as well, and you mentioned HubSpot.
Yep.
So it's important to emphasize that, particularly for businesses that are having to watch every penny now. I mean, we're in a good position to see that a lot of people have just wanted to strip things back to the bone. I think it's very important that there's tools out there for free, but you do need to devote a little bit of time to train yourself. Would that be a fair point?
Yes. Oh, definitely, absolutely. Those tools you can definitely use. So MailChimp, for example, if you've already got a MailChimp account, keep using it for the moment anyway. That's going to be really good, going back to the e-newsletter side of things. And HubSpot, from the academy point of view, is more from a helping people it's training and understanding about how the theory of inbound marketing works, which maybe sounds a little bit boring, but actually it's done in very neat ways, and it's not geared necessarily towards the HubSpot tool itself. It actually gives people a kind of really good foundation on how digital marketing should work, regardless of the tools that you're using. So that's important to stress. So thanks for that question.
Okay.
So people are kind of doing their whole swivel in terms of online and all manner of different ways. So we're seeing people who have traditionally maybe had venues or restaurants, and now they're swiveling and be able to provide online hampers and packs and being able to sell online, and now becoming kind of brands that are going to have an online revenue stream as well as their physical stream when the world goes back to whatever it is that is the normal. And that's my set of weights there. Joe Wicks, many of you will be aware of Joe Wicks if you've got kids who've been doing PE, which I have definitely. That man has inspired plenty of people to do kind of more online training and videos and things, and so now his whole thing will be definitely online. So embracing a digital first mindset, I can't stress enough, is definitely something that we all have to do regardless of the industry we're in. And then on to the sort of wave 3, what does the new normal street look like? Well, we're seeing that as being something that's going to be added services and things that people will have as part of their toolkit of what they're selling. So things won't go back to normal. For many of us, we don't want them to anyway. We want something completely different. And there's a fantastic innovation coming out that is definitely going to be underpinning certain new businesses that are evolving out of this whole crazy situation. One nice example I saw just yesterday was this one here. And this is a company who have a clothing company and a branding company have got together and they've set up this product, this business now, whereby it's effectively like an all-in-one suit or like a top and bottom, but the top is basically Zoom friendly and the bottom is comfy. I just love that, working from home jammies, and no doubt some of us are sitting here right now wearing pajamas, bottoms anyway. But what I was going to say was, in terms of our businesses, for B2B businesses, for example, we're seeing a lot of kind of training videos and things like that coming out. A complete change from people going into businesses and providing a service. They're now doing an awful lot more around training people in order to be able to do it themselves. But they can sell that training as now a product and as a service line for them. We're seeing some businesses go to subscription models for what they do. So whether that is food hampers and things again, or perhaps it is services. I'm thinking of IT, for example, an IT services provider I know who would ordinarily have like a monthly fee that would be normal, where they kind of make sure all the machines are okay. So IT services is an interesting one because they're traditionally looking after a single office or maybe 2 or 3 within a particular company. And now they're looking after 20, 30, 50 home offices. And how are they doing that? So subscription model can potentially work where they can then bolt on different things like training and all sorts of stuff. Events is an interesting one because obviously the events industry has been decimated too. Conferences not happening and all kinds of things, weddings and everything. We were talking to an events company who wondered what they could do around this now. Now, events and all that will come back. We will be going back to football stadiums. We will be going to gigs. We'll be going to restaurants and things, but it will come back. But for somebody like the events people, they will be able to organise events again. However, having online kind of events and making that a real experience is definitely going to be something that will continue out of this whole situation. So for events companies, it's something that they really need to be looking at now as to how they make an experience online. Because people, if they are being able to get that information and that kind of contact online, it's going to have to be a real pull for them to go physically to an event. So no more kind of flying over to America for a conference. That's going to have to be a real draw for that to happen. So events companies need to have these 2 things in their armory, and I'm sure they will fly. How-tos, like how-to guides. We're seeing an awful lot of that just now within wave 2, but I see that continuing within wave 3, kind of attached to the training. And how to do that would be perfectly with things like YouTube and video and a little tool called Loom. People might have seen that already. I know Chris uses it for some of his training. We've seen that used to very good effect already. So I see these kind of tools being able to be used far, far more often within what people are doing now. And I put top 9 tips, but it could be any number. Just don't use 10. Everyone's using 10. But that kind of thing. So being seen to be helpful in all your products and services, if you can kind of chunk it down and being seen to be helpful with those, that's definitely where things are going to go. So combining that kind of list within your business along with the kind of digital mindset first idea will definitely see things thriving.
Julie, just to jump in there, this is just our own example, but we've just tried to send out plenty of emails and communications around the changes in the government support. So it's a bit of sometimes it's a bit of a hit and hope approach. We can see how many people open the email. So I think with all of this, sometimes you just have to have the confidence just to send something out and then almost forget about it. Think, well, hopefully people will find it if they're looking for it, even if it's on the peripheral, almost on their peripheral vision. But that's what we found. Just to sort of jump in, there's on the questions, there's sort of a couple of themes. One, in terms of promoting services without seeming opportunistic or grasping.
Yeah.
And almost what should people avoid doing and saying during the current pandemic? So I think people, I'm hearing there's people are slightly concerned about saying the wrong thing.
Yeah.
What are your views on that?
Okay, so it's all around the kind of the tone of voice and who it is you're targeting, which brings me sort of neatly onto something else. Okay,
set you up there.
So, yeah, kind of, not intentionally, I'm sure, but there we are. So this is a quote I really like. Okay, and this should help to shape or kind of assuage worries. Okay, so the best marketing helps people first and earns their business as a result. I think this really encapsulates what good marketing is about. And if you're seen to be helping people first, not only seen, but actually helping people first and giving that value first, then you can't really go far wrong. So this brings me on to one of my favorite topics, which I know a couple of you on here will you'll have heard me bang on about before, and this is about personas. So how can you know that you're being helpful unless you know who your personas are? And your personas are effectively who are the kind of key target people that you currently deal with, that you love to deal with. So A, you enjoy working with them. They are profitable for your business and they highly engage your team. So if you can think of those sorts of people and the kind of things that motivates them, that'll help you shape your marketing message. Now, thing is, the needs, motivations, and concerns of your key people will have been different at the beginning of the year than they are now, which doesn't mean that it won't go back to what it was at the beginning, but they're different right now. And the key thing for you to know is what are their needs and motivations and concerns right now. And you can only really know that if you go and ask them. So I strongly urge people to pick up their phone, drop a WhatsApp, or whatever method best works for you, and find out what is the challenge that they're facing right now. Now, okay, we're all in the same boat, I get that. It's all very challenging in myriad different ways, but for certain businesses, they'll have and people, they'll have a particular thing that's really bothering them right now, that's different perhaps from another persona. So knowing what that is will help you to shape your message, be helpful, and then not be seen to be kind of being selling or opportunistic or something, but you are being helpful. So I've got a wee action for you, and I want you to think of your best client. So just a couple of minutes, think of who your best client is. You don't have to share it with anybody. A person that you enjoy working with, the work's interesting and engages your team and is profitable. So have that person in mind. I'm talking about a person, not a business. And then I want you to ask yourself, what's the one priority to them right now? Is it that they get their bounce back loan? Is it that they've got a team of people coming back to work and they need to figure out how they socially distance and put all that stuff in place? Is it that they've got a team, the majority of their team are under 30 and they're worried about the impact of that, of them working from home more long term and the uncertainty? What is it that's bothering your particular best client just now? Note that down. Everyone got something? And then think about where that where you got that person from. Was that a referral, or where do these people mix? Would you like more of the same? And these are kind of just very, very top level things about how when we deep dive into personas and help businesses to really distill who it is that they're looking to work with, that they can add real value to. These are the kind of questions. So have a think of your best client. Then when you know what it is that's really bothering them now, and in general, things that you can help them with, not in COVID times, it can help to sort of shape what your tone of voice needs to be. So what is that tone of voice? Well, typically it's going to have to be something helpful, not selling, but still be seen to be positive. And I've drawn a pair of slippers here. That's slippers, by the way, because hardly anyone is out. So put yourself in your persona's slippers and imagine if they were receiving a communication from you, whether that's email, whether that's a phone call, whether you forwarded them on a PDF, top tips that you sent or whatever. And just have a think. How would I feel if I got this right now? And is it adding value? And if you can tick yes to that and it's relevant to the time, then go on, rock on. I mean, everybody has good stuff inside us, blog articles and all kinds of useful content that we can share that is just would be super helpful to all our clients. We just don't realize we've got it yet. But if you go through the exercise of thinking what is really challenging my client base right now, the key client base, and the kind of people that you really want to be working with, then you can help to shape the content that you have, the information that you have, into something that really helps them. And that can't fail to provide goodwill and be helpful to them and make them feel warmer to you, I guess. But the crux of what people want right now is a level of certainty. The certainty piece is really interesting because obviously we're in a world where things are really quite uncertain. But certainty is something that you can likely, in whatever business that you're in at the moment, be able to provide some level of. If I can give an example of that, and I cite him quite a lot because I like what he's doing, and it's a plumbing firm in Edinburgh, and Michael has put together this really nice guide for people and his team. I think he has about, I don't know, he's got a decent sized staff, about 20 or so people, and he's got a guide that all customers will get that explains what the process is that him and his team will go through should somebody need to call it an emergency plumber. And it goes through everything, you know, what that person will expect, what the customer can expect, what they'll look like, what the sanitization standards are, what the reporting will be, all of that. And he's written it all down. That's relevant to these times right now, but going forward, that's going to really help as well. But that's providing a level of certainty for customers who perhaps may be really quite concerned that they've got this emergency issue with their boiler and they really need to call a plumber. But all of us will be able to provide a level of certainty at some level. And it's just, you know, you want to give people that.
Julie, just to jump in there, actually, as a comment from Kevin, I would say if anybody's got any questions, there's a chat box, so just pop them in there and we'll do our best to answer them as well, in addition to the ones that have been sent in before. But from Kevin saying, I would say we're not all in the same boat, but we are in the same storm. So I think that's a good thing. Yeah, so just
nice, Kevin, yeah.
Yeah, just in terms of tone, I mean, yeah, now I think everyone's been through this. So in a way, when you're communicating with your customers and clients, you don't need to tell them what you've been through. In a way, I mean, it's a bit harsh because a lot of people have been through this. You know, some have had terrible experiences, some have come out of it okay. But I would say with this, it's almost how can you promote, you know, business as normal is the thing that I would maybe try and get people to communicate, like I say, to their customers and their clients as well.
Mm-hmm. I think at best, or at least, sorry, just tell people how they can get in touch with you. I'm actually staggered at the number of people who've not actually shared anything with their clients as to how people will get in touch with them, or just explained, you know, this is the number to get me on, or stuff like that. It's something quite simple and basic. And actually, it seems weird now if you go on anyone's website or anyone's kind of profile or something and you see nothing to do with COVID. It's like, oh right, well that seems a really, really strange situation now. So at its least let people know how they can get in touch with you. And what I'm finding really quite interesting is the kind of barriers are sort of broken down a little bit, because while we might be they call it social distancing, but I like to term it as like physical distancing. So, okay, when none of us are in the same room. However, from a social point of view or connection point of view, me, like many people I know, are actually talking to a lot more people than we probably used to. And also because you're kind of in folks' homes, you see random kids going at the back or cats walking past laptops and, you know, showing off their bits and pieces and all kinds of things. And it sort of strips away this sort of facade that we might have had or perhaps in some way built up. So there's a level of authenticity, which I think is really quite interesting. And that actually gives rise to far more candid conversations you can have with clients and prospects because you're all in this sort of situation, because we are all in this sort of situation. So that in itself can build a sense of rapport that might have been a bit slower to come to fruition purely because we are in the same storm, as Kevin puts it. I like that. That's quite nice. I'm going to steal that, Kevin. Yeah.
So I think with that,
that didn't quite answer the question.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of shared empathy. It's about tone of voice. There's a lot of shared empathy.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. The brands are being empathetic. That's definitely one. I'll come on to that sec. Are definitely the brands that will be remembered out of this. So any brands that are kind of just, you know, sell, they won't be, and or they're kind of using COVID as a tool. It's really not. It's a bit kind of tasteless. As an example, I saw a tweet by BMW. Right, they were promoting this new car, and nice looking car. But it's got a kind of quite a low roof like this. And so they put some kind of slogan around flattening the curve. And it just really, really jarred. I mean, thinking BMW really, you know, you missed the mark there. So it is definitely about around having an empathetic tone of voice without being too gushy about it, because people, they want to get on, you know, it's now is the time. Whereas a month ago, people were kind of thinking, oh my God, I can't believe where we're at now. But there's definitely a very much a momentum behind people going, right, okay, this is where we're at now, and people getting bounce back loans and money in the bank where they can kind of take off again.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there is a fine line between empathy and sympathy.
Yeah,
I would say.
Yeah, definitely. This is a nice little quote, I think, is worthy of remembering as well. People will remember the companies who earned positive attention. And this is the ones that are kind of doing the good stuff. And okay, yeah, it might, it will no doubt be having an effect on them perhaps getting business and marketing and that kind of thing. But done in a non-cynical way, you know, why not? You know, these businesses are helping folk, and by helping people and telling people that they're helping people and having those people explain that too in a wider fashion, they're earning that positive attention. And you know, at the end of the day, we're all running businesses, and we need to be keep those going and keep employing people and keeping the cash going. So yeah, I really believe in that sentence there. So just I'm aware of kind of time, and I just wanted to put in short a little kind of bullet points of things to think about. So for new prospects and new suspects, be really tight on who your personas are. Define who it is that you really be wanting to work with, and write a list of FAQs, by which I mean, what are the things that are really bothering your client base right now, the persona right now. And then start to think about what content could be created around each FAQ. Now, I appreciate that not everybody wants to be the people that are creating the content, but if you've got teams, maybe talk about those ideas with your teams, and you'll be amazed at what can come out of that. You can repurpose the content. So you've probably got stuff already in your armory, or in your toolkit, that actually would still be valid now. Bring it back, repurpose that. By which I mean, if you've got, say, a decent blog post, perhaps it could be chunked into a video. So you do a video and read out the kind of salient points, or it could be that you have that kind of illustrated in some way and use it that way. So it's not about necessarily regurgitating or coming up with stuff that's new, but you likely will have some decent stuff there that you can use again. And definitely consider SEO, search engine optimization. If you remember, I said near the beginning that there's about 21 billion searches a day. you know, there's a good reason why SEO continues to be a very useful tool in people's marketing toolkit, and overall be helpful. But for your clients, as we all know, clients' word of mouth and everything is a very, very useful strategy. Speak to them. Speak to your clients. I'm quite staggered about how many people have not actually spoken to clients. But speak to them, find out what's going on. And email them useful information, email them newsletters. Remember your CNEs, your critical non-essentials. What could you send them that would just bring a smile to their face? Because at the end of the day, actually, you know, we all need the clients that we've already got, you know, and the ones that are staying loyal to us and not pulling resources and things to go elsewhere or find cheaper options, you know, we really, as a collective, should kind of embrace that and be thankful for the clients who are choosing not to do that. So a little thank you goes a long way, and it doesn't need to cost a lot. Shout outs on social. I'm seeing this as a really nice one that I'm guilty of not doing enough of myself, actually. But, you know, just putting a wee shout out onto LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever is a channel of choice that best suits your business to promote somebody else, just to say, oh, these guys are great, you know. That's a nice thing to do, and it costs nothing. Really nice thing to do, and tag them in it. You know, they will be chuffed, you'll feel good, and you never know where that goes. It's putting some money in the emotional bank account. And with your team, I think don't underestimate the power of your team within your marketing. I've got here, go through the academy. So the HubSpot Academy is definitely something to have a look at. Also look at your brilliant basics. Have your team have a look at that as well. So this is to do with what would be within your brilliant basics. Things like your CRM and your processes and stuff like that. Client relationship managers. Speaking to a prospect last week who runs a really quite a sizable business, but they run the whole thing off Excel spreadsheets and realised that actually this wasn't really going to be helpful for any kind of online digital marketing strategy. The amount of effort it would take to just run it off Excel spreadsheets would be epic. So crazy. But look at things like your collateral, for example. Look at things like your websites. I mean, that's a kind of a quick one, I think. You can run it through a little tool called WebGrader. I can send a link round after. And that'll tell you, kind of just give you very, very quick overviews to how well your site is doing. And these are kind of things that in a sort of downtime period, it might be worth having a look at. And also the Loom videos. Again, team can help with the Loom videos. Perhaps you've got particular specialists within your team that are really good at X, Y, and Z, and they could just do a quick kind of training video with them in the corner that would explain something that you can then use as part of your toolkit for now and ongoing, you know, handing on to clients and stuff. So that would be my kind of main things to do. And I would really love to know if people have got a, you know, like a key thing that they're thinking that they would do right now, a quick win that they have right now out of this sort of list of stuff I've kind of given you. Yeah, does anybody want to just put in the chat box what they would take away right now? What one action could you do for each of these camps? So one for new prospects, one for your clients, and one for your team. I'm going to leave this up here as a little reminder.
So Julie, just while people are doing that in the chat box, nearly out of time. So in terms of, we talked about some free actions. We talked about MailChimp and HubSpot and other things as well, some free tools. So what we'll do, we'll send out links afterwards in the follow-up so people can find out a bit more about those. But if people have a little bit of marketing budget to spend.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. Right. I think it really depends. Yeah. You have to really know your personas and know where they are and know where they tend to consume their content, right? So, but broadly speaking, we would be saying that if you do nothing else, send out e-newsletters to your current clients and do a little bit of SEO. Those two things.
Yeah, okay.
Right? With a bit more time, get yourself on video. Video doesn't need to cost much at all. I mean, we've all got to sitting with cameras and things, and people are so understanding and reasonable about the fact that things are not as slick as they maybe otherwise would be. So look at video. And they would be my main things. And actually just, the sending out of kind of a little bit, something here or there to various people, you know, the amount of goodwill that does is massive, and it really doesn't have to cost very much. And you can be supporting lots of local businesses while you're at it, which is really nice.
That's great. Yeah, just a couple of comments that came through. So Ailsa is going to be contacting guests. I think she runs a sort of travel or hospitality business. So she's going to contact all of her guests directly, you know, one-to-one, which I think is really good.
Yes, nice.
Helen's starting critical non-essential C&E, so it's been some buzzword today. And then somebody called Nick says he's going to send a client to a gift to his existing clients, but not one accounting or 39 steps. So there you go.
Oh.
With that. So yeah, just
I'm not a client, Nick.
yeah, communicate those. So I think, I think for me, in terms of the, you know, the one thing that I always try and do is just put something out on LinkedIn. Yeah, not necessarily me in a silly shirt, but just something, just sharing a little bit of content. It sort of shows people, you know, in your network that you're there, and that you're just trying to share content. So I think it takes, you know, just a couple of minutes to put something out on LinkedIn. Sometimes people can pick up on a comment, and sometimes you think nobody's read it. But yeah, certainly some of the people on the call, I do notice their post, you know, once or twice a week, maybe, you know, occasionally I'll comment on it. But yeah, I think LinkedIn, in terms of the one thing that I would do just to get out there, would be something that I would do.
I think, in a B2B, if you're B2B, definitely, that's absolutely, it's kind of just has to be part of your marketing toolkit, B2B wise. B2C, not so much, but B2B, definitely.
Yeah, okay.
Completely concur.
We've run over ever so slightly, so sorry about people who need to dash off. Can you just control?
Can I hand over control? What I can do is I can stop sharing my screen.
Yeah.
Will that help?
Possibly, yeah.
There we go.
Right, okay. Let me just see if I can. Here you go. That's all right, the Zoom controls. Have they failed? No, they haven't. Right, okay. Let's just see if I can get this back. Right. Here we go. Questions. Right, we dealt with questions, I think, in between. We've had some really good questions in the chat box. So hopefully we've covered things that people wanted to hear about in a lot of detail. In terms of how to contact me and you, so yeah, it's Julie at 39steps.co.uk, and it's Julie, you'll be on LinkedIn and... Yeah, so if there's a question that's not been answered that you'd like answered, then, you know, apologies, it's not easy to get around everything, but I'd love to just jump on a wee Zoom and let's have a chat. Yeah. Okay, yeah, any follow-up? My email address and Julie's email address is there. And yeah, the message we want you to take away, so this is in my window at home in Edinburgh, my daughter did, so it's keep smiling. I know it's difficult sometimes, but I think hopefully we've given you a little bit of food for thought today on how to market during the current lockdown, and a few things to change and try as we move out of lockdown and into recovery phase for the rest of the year. So we'll leave it there. Julie, thanks very much for your time.
No, thank you. Thanks, guys, for participating today and your contributions. It's really great. Okay.
Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day.